Rolling on here with the National Signing Day special on ESPN 106.3, live from the City Place Studios right here in downtown West Palm Beach. A lot going on in the Palm Beach area. Treasure Coast high school sports scene is National Signing Day, the second of which now away and through in the middle of it. Colin Russo, Christian Catt with you now, joined by a special guest. You can see him on the sidelines up there in Tallahassee, Florida, the current head coach of the Florida State Seminoles football team, and that is none other than Mike Norvell joining the program. Coach Norvell, how are we doing today? What's going on?
Doing good, Colin. Appreciate you guys having us on.
Of course. So let's start about right here. Mike, you've now been in the Florida scene, in the Florida sports scene for, I believe, year 5 just completed at Florida State. What can you say about how Palm Beach County sports, Treasure Coast area, you have a lot of players, Amari Williams, Jordan Travis being one of them, a lot of guys from the area, and there's a lot of talent here. What can you say about how this county produces top-tier talent?
No, I mean it's been an incredible place for us, just throughout the years, but especially here, as of late, you're really excited about the guys we've had join the program. Obviously Amari coming in this past season, coming in as a true freshman, really got some great newcomers that have joined. Ricky Knight, who was part of the program here this last year. Getting Max Redmond, here this year, coming in. I just think it's a really great place. With the football, the talent, the great young men that have come in, but something that we're going to really have a huge emphasis on as we move forward, elevating our program.
And I know it's been a couple years for you, but you're a Texas guy, if I got this right, and now shifting to Florida here, trying to get involved in the scene here. A couple schools fighting for the talent out here. How have you acclimated to getting your kind of foothold in these high school football in the Florida scene?
No, I mean it's been great, and grateful for the hospitality of all the coaches, the schools. It was kind of a tough start. When I first got here to Florida State, we had COVID hit, so it was about a year and a half not being able to get into high schools. But really have tried to spend a lot of time, building relationships, making sure that it's the players that we have on the roster that are going to be the greatest recruiters that we have, and being able to share, kind of our all-inclusive approach, and making sure that we're pouring into our guys, to be the best that they can be there on the field, but also making sure that they're growing into the men they're fulfilling the potential that they have, they're off of it as well. And it's been wonderful being able to take those steps, and we've got a lot of great relationships there throughout the state, and really excited about where we're headed.
One of those players that set that reputation of the Palm Beach sports area high school sports is Jordan Travis, who you spent the early part of that Florida State career almost exclusively with Jordan at the helm at quarterback from the Benjamin School right here in Palm Beach County. What point did you know that Jordan was something special?
I think when you get to know the man and just the worker, Jordan cared so much about this football team. He's cared so much about Florida State in general, and then obviously had great talent. He had great talent, great ability. He went through his ups and downs, and just seeing his response, seeing his character. He was a guy that made everybody on the team better. He brought the right mindset, he brought the right approach, day in and day out to practice, and left here as one of the great Seminoles ever that have ever played the game. Was a conference player of the year. Led us to a conference championship, and just so grateful for the opportunity I got to be able to coach him, and to see his journey and where it was able to take him.
Coach Mike Norvell of FSU football joining the program now on National Signing Day special on ESPN 106.3. Coach Norvell, you saw this past year, I guess, life after Jordan Travis. The type of year is probably not how we expected it to go. Did not have the most responsive year comparatively to what happened the year prior, 13-1 to 2-10. Let me ask you this, Coach. At what point this season did you think that, all right, this is not going the way we anticipated, this is not going the way we planned, things are kind of getting out of hand here? At what point in the season did that really fact come about?
Well, I mean, you go through a year like we experienced, and it's nothing that anybody wanted to ever go through. And some of the things that were in our control, some things out of our control, and some of the adversity that we faced. But as we go through that season and those experiences, about where do you go from there? And the response from our players, we had our young classes. I mean, the 23 to 24 class, those are just some of the best classes that we've been able to put together. A lot of great young players that I believe are going to be the stars of the future, and seeing their their buy-in, their approach, their ownership to the results that have taken place. I mean, it is now an incredible push to get our program back to competing for championships, and we know what it looks like. We know what it takes. We've been a part of winning 19 straight games. We've seen that play out, and now it's this team, this group, being able to put its stamp on what this season's going to hold. And there is a great deal of excitement and energy that's in our program, and we're excited for spring practice. We've hit the ground running there in our winter program. I think our guys are doing a really nice job of taking that opportunity to push themselves and to really let this be a player-led team. That's coach inspired, and it's my job to inspire them every single day, helping them realize what they can accomplish and what they can do. But it's got to be player-led, and I think you feel that on a day in and day out basis. Here in the early part of 2025, and I'm excited to see that grow throughout the rest of this off season as we go into the year that's ahead.
Yeah, Coach, a year like that, after a year that you had going 13-1 the year prior, what is something that you, as a coach, you've had a ton of success over in Memphis, and you a quick rise up to the top of the line here as a head coach. What is something that you kind of learned about being a coach and managing expectation and making sure that guys respond to adversity the right way? After a year like last year, what is something that I guess now that Mike Norvell today knows that he didn't know 365 days ago?
Well, I mean, I think you see the importance of every day, the importance of that edge, I say almost a desperation to be all that you can be. And in today's age of college athletics, there's a lot of new dynamics, new elements. When it comes to players coming in, whether it's through the high school ranks, through the transfer portal, you get one shot at it. And each team needs to put its mark. To be able to define the identity of who they are. Obviously how they respond to success, how they respond to adversity, and just the importance of each action, the importance of the leadership, the push of being able to maximize the potential that you have. And then if there's a bad play, a bad moment, a bad game, how do you respond in those situations? And that's been a huge focus for us as we've continued to build and develop this team that's coming into the 25 season. Making sure that we're identifying those guys and those traits that are critical for this team to be able to establish itself as one of the teams that are going to have a chance to compete for a championship this year. But it's not just about what they've done in their past, but it's also what are you doing in this moment, and just that absolute hunger and drive to go maximize the potential that these guys have.
Coach, you mentioned earlier about where do you go from here and how do you respond after what happened and transpired this past year. One thing that was notable in the Florida State's offseason was the acquisition, the hiring of none other than Gus Malzahn, and somebody who has had a ton of success at the SEC level, basically at UCF as well, and somebody that you actually worked underneath at Tulsa. And it's funny because Gus Malzahn gives you an opportunity at Tulsa. You get to work and learn under him. And then now, fast forward, 15 years, 20 years, and the roles have kind of reversed here. You think, Gus, you got to come in and help us and work underneath me. How did that relationship develop? Is that somebody you always kept in touch with, always wanted to work with again? Or did this spur of the moment, you saw an opportunity and took it?
I'm grateful for the relationship I have with Gus, and he provided the open door for me, to be able to get into Division I coaching. I was a GA for him. Really, so much of the foundation of where I started. And, when it comes to offensive football, I mean, I think he's one of the most innovative minds in the game. You can feel his energy, his excitement. The head coaching position has changed a lot in the recent years in college football. And, for Gus to get back to being able to, really lead a side of the ball, to be able to do what he loves and coach an offensive football, you could see the excitement on his face. You can feel his energy that he's bringing into our program. Really excited for our student athletes, being able to benefit from him and just his mind, his approach, and really excited about being able to work side by side with Coach Malzahn once again.
Coach Mike Norvell of FSU football joining us now in the National Signing Day special. Coach Norvell, one thing that kind of comes with Malzahn is the relationship that he has built at previous schools, one of them being notably Thomas Castellanos, the transfer from Boston College at quarterback, was at UCF under Malzahn, under Reese Plumlee as well at quarterback. This is somebody that's coming in now and has high expectations for a program such as FSU that desires and demands excellence almost. And Castellanos, what sort of led you in that direction? Was it the relationship with Malzahn? It was an ugly exit for Castellanos out of BC. What were those conversations like in getting him involved in FSU and knowing that this might be your guy?
Yeah, Tommy's somebody that, I've known, since he was in high school. It was a guy that we recruited. He's been able to come into the college game. You got to start there with Coach Malzahn. He was able to play there, as a freshman. You saw the spark that he could bring. Obviously he made the decision to go and, go up to Boston College where, he had a very productive, couple of years. Obviously things, all transpired the way that they did, but, he's somebody that, I think is one of the most dynamic playmakers in all of college football. He is a great young man. You talk about energy, excitement. The way that he's come into our program, really with a huge emphasis of the guys that he's getting to do it with, and building those relationships. Guys gravitate to him. He's excited, and he brings an edge, and a lot of. Anticipation of what's ahead and what he can be, and I think it's a wonderful fit for us, and it's been fun watching him transition into our program, and just the support he's getting from his teammates, his coaches, and being able to put his stamp and mark on this Florida State program.
Coach, I appreciate the time. One last question for you before we let you go here. One thing that's interesting about how college football has sort of graduated to a new level, NIL, expanded playoff, is conferences kind of playing in their own little – they have their own little groups. And I'm curious, being an ACC coach, head coach such as yourself, a coach of a team that in a lot of ways got robbed out of a playoff bid 2 years ago. Now all of a sudden you're seeing the Big Ten, the SEC – take opportunities to try to establish more of a clinch on the playoff, and whether that's automatic bids or their strength of schedule, whatever it may be. Being you as an ACC head coach, do you think that there is a sense of animosity towards these other conferences in terms of how they are handling it? And I guess my question is, one thing that people were complaining about was that ACC getting the automatic bid, the bye, and on top of the conference champions. Is that something that you have a problem with, that schools take problem with those schools getting buys? Is that a problem to you that certain schools and certain conferences, I should say, are getting more leeway and I guess more of an excuse?
Well, I mean, I think we have a great conference that won. When you look back at this last season, we had a winning record against the Big Ten and the Big 12. In head-to-head, matchups throughout the course of last season, we had the most wins against the SEC of any conference, that's out there. And it's a great brand of football. And you look at this past year, a lot of competitive teams, a lot of great players, that are on these teams in the ACC, and you got to bring it every day. And I believe that as we continue to progress, it's going to be a dogfight each and every year, to compete for that championship in the ACC, and we've got to go prove it on the field. As we kick off this season with Alabama coming to us, in week 1, and there's going to be a lot of great matchups, and that's the fun part of college football, is that you get to go do it out there on the field. And I think when you look at our success over the the last 3-4 years of what we've been able to do. It's something that I'm proud of. Obviously, last year was a disappointing year, but I'm excited for what's ahead, and you just continue to push Florida State back to where it deserves to be, and you'll be in that national conversation when it comes to championships and being among the best in all of college football.
Coach Norvell, you're getting a couple staple players out of Palm Beach County. We appreciate you giving us the time today. We look forward to speaking again soon, and I look forward to next year.
I appreciate you guys having me on, and go Noles.